It's been a while since we had Mike back, so
Yeah.
we want to do kind of a deep dive on this great Neil Young song. But before I hand it off to Mike, you should know that he's been a Guitars for Vets chapter coordinator and instructor since 2015. He's been playing guitar. I'm going to show your age here a little bit, Mike, for over 54 years. And he possesses a guitar skills certificate from the Berklee College of Music. In mid 2020, during the pandemic, Mike began making weekly YouTube video guitar lessons for his G4V program graduates, and his lessons have become very popular on YouTube. He's now got over, I don't know, 22,000 subscribers, I believe, and it's all song based, it's all lesson based.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you, Paul, for that nice introduction. I want to thank everybody for attending today, for joining us. I know where I'm at. It's pretty nice outside, so it's tempting to skip a guitar lesson when it's so nice outside. But I appreciate everyone being here. Paul, I want to thank you, Paul Lilley, and Guitars for Veterans for hosting this session. So much appreciated. So I want to start off with the main point is that the world needs more rhythm guitarists. Okay. Um, I think my crew of graduates at Guitars for Vets in Martinez, California, we go out and play. We play at other bases, military bases. We go to a monthly military vets meeting where we just bring like 5 songs and we play sing-along songs, and it just, you can't believe the spirit that you get from people when you play these old songs and they get to sing along with them. So I really appreciate you all wanting to work on your skills and knowing that with these skills you can walk into a room of any number of people and just light that room up and make everyone happy. So it's a great skill to have. Um, as acoustic guitarists, I mean, the reason I got into playing acoustic guitar, well, the primary reason, I'll be honest with you, was to find girlfriends. But the other reason is I really love being a one-man band, and with an acoustic guitar, that's really what we are, especially a rhythm guitarist. So the guitar is one of the few instruments that you can play chords on. You're not going to get an oboe out or a saxophone and play chords, but a rhythm guitar or a piano you can play chords on. And also you get to be a drummer, which was one of my fantasies as a young 12-year-old. As acoustic guitarists, we're really drummers and chord players. So that's kind of the basis of today's lesson is rhythm. And that's what I'll try to teach you with Long May You Run. I'll try to teach you the rhythmic patterns in that song. There's 2 primary ones. But as I was preparing for this lesson today, I was looking at other teachers online and how they teach rhythm. And there's some really good ones. And I think we shortchange the basics of rhythm when we teach students how to play. We're so focused on here's a G chord, here's a C chord, and just assume that people understand rhythm. But one thing I found on YouTube was I just searched drum beat, and up came this video, 80 beats per minute, simple straight beat. So I want to play it for you. So from this, we can learn rhythm. So if you just mute your guitar with your fingers like I'm doing, and we hit the bass string on the first 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and so I'm doing a boom boom. I refer to when I hit the bass note as a boom boom. And then the follow-up, the contrast, is a chukka chukka. So this is a really good practice, especially, I know a lot of people talk about use a metronome, and metronomes are okay, but when you have a drum beat like this, it feels much more musical. So Then if we just play an E minor chord, so I would recommend to anyone to just get into YouTube, pull out one of those drum beats, and just try to play any song you know to an 80 beats per minute or more or less. A couple of other basics I wanted to talk about today. One is picks. So picks are one of the primary drivers of the tone you're going to get out of your guitar. So what I've got here is a plain old yellow Dunlop Tordex 0.79 thickness. And I just ordered these on Amazon. I got a pack of 12 for like $4.99. The reason I bought them was there's this guy, Steve Kaufman, who's like one of the best flat picking guitarists in the world. And I would think he'd have a $30 or $40 pick. No, he uses these as his only pick. But you'll get a certain tone out of this thickness of pick, and you'll have to determine what kind of tone it is you're searching for. So if you want something brighter, then you go with a thinner pick. If you want to get a darker, warmer tone, now this is like a 1.0. Now this is one of those $30 picks, a blue chip. Very, very different sound, much more muted, darker. But the other thing I wanted to show you was a pick I discovered on Amazon that gets really high ratings. It's called a Golden Gate pick, Golden Gate Medium. These are like $1 a piece, but I found they produce a really clear and accurate tone. So anyway, just a couple of minutes on picks, and if anyone has any questions at the end, we can talk about picks in more detail. So, long may you run. Or you know what, let's take a step back. Paul was asking me before we went on about practice routine, and my practice routine is I do these videos every week, and they require me to be able to play a song well enough to where people want to watch and learn how I play a particular song. And that creates a certain pressure for me each week to practice every morning. My particular routine is I get up, I make my coffee, I go to my special place in my house, and I start working on a song. And that's really what drives me to practice. So when if any of you have seen any of my lessons before, by the time I make the video on Friday of the lesson, I've played that song maybe 100 times. Royally pissed off the rest of my family that live with me. They get so tired of hearing these songs that they have to leave the house. But I just wanted to share that about kind of my practice routine. There's a lot of repetitions involved in mastering some of these songs. And this one, Long May You Run, this is a fairly intricate song that requires a lot of work to perfect. So I bring this all up because if at first it doesn't sound good to you, know that repetition is the name of the game. You've got to play it a whole bunch of times for it to sound good. Okay, so let's talk about this boom chukka pattern. So maybe starting with a G chord, just the basics of it. So again, the boom in boom chukka or boom chick strumming is the bass note. So what I'm doing is I've got a G chord here, and I'm hitting string 6 as my boom, my first bass note. And then what I'm doing is doing a down, up, down, up, down, up, on strings 4, 3, and 2, or 3, 2, and 1. It doesn't really matter which strings you hit, but the chukka 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 is just a contrast to the bass note, and that's pleasing to the ear of the listener if you do it right. So I'm doing a bass note, down, up, down, up, down, up, bass note, down, up, down, up, down, up, bass note, down, up, down, up, down, up, bass note, down, up, down, up, down. Then we go to E minor. Back to the G. E minor. So that's the basic boom chukka 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 concept. So when we get well, and that, you know, there's probably a Neil Young song in there. So Neil is a great proponent of this style of playing where you hit a bass note and then you follow up with a contrasting down up down up down up. And as a matter of fact, Neil hardly ever uses a pick. He's actually using his index finger and his middle finger. Most of the videos I've seen where he's strumming live, it's just fingers, not a pick. And the other thing about Neil that's so great, and the reason why I think so many of us love Neil, is that he's not Al Di Meola and he's not Tommy Emmanuel. He actually plays stuff that we can play. You know, Neil uses 5 or 6 chords primarily, and that makes it very attractive for 90% of guitarists to try and learn. It's not that hard. Okay, so if we get to Long, Long May You Run. So it starts off with a D chord. So now when we do the boom chukka chukka chukka, it gets a little bit harder, and it's okay when you're doing this to look down where you're picking, because it's kind of hard to hit that D string, that open D string, without looking, right? I mean, if you've got a lot of practice at it, you can 9 times out of 10 hit it. But sometimes you'll hit the A string, sometimes you'll hit the string 3. But as we apply now the boom chukka 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 to this song, it starts off with a D. The second chord in the song, the way I play it, I go to a D major 9, which is what I do is I leave my index finger right where it is from the D chord, and then I move my middle finger over to string 2, the B string on the 2nd fret. So it's that chord right there. It's got a little dissonance to it. Like if you just started a song with a D major 9th, it would sound funny. But when you start with a D, and then you go to that D major 9th, it really has a nice sound to it, and it's making your mind wants, or your ear wants, resolution, and the resolution is then the G chord. So again, I'm hitting the bass. The bass note is the fattest string, fretted on the 3rd fret, and then back to the D. Okay, again from the top, it's D, D major 9th, G, D. So if I had a suggestion, if you were wanting to leave this lesson right now, what I would recommend is you get a metronome, or you get a you get a drum beat on YouTube, and I'm going to use a metronome right now at 65 beats per minute. And what I would recommend is just playing this intro line, the D major ninth, the G, and then back to the D. Play that over and over and over. And my poor veterans that are in my Monday graduate group, maybe some of them are on the call right now, but last Monday we played a whole song with the metronome on, and it feels really weird to do that at first. It feels like it's really driving you, but it's a good thing. So if you can get used to practicing a song with a metronome, trust me, it'll help you greatly. So I'm going now with this 65. D major ninth, G, D. Okay, and we can even slow that down. Let's slow that down to 55. D major ninth, G, D major ninth, G, D. So that 55 seems to be a better place to start off, or even you can go down to 50. We'll go back to the chords if we just focus on the chords and not even the strumming pattern, but it's a D. We've been, and then we go to a D major 9, through some to a G, things to, back to the D, together, and now we get to the dreaded B minor. Okay, there's a lot of different ways to play it. One is ring finger on string 4, fret 4, pinky on string 3, fret 4, middle finger on string 2, fret 3, and index finger on string 1, fret 2. Now, another way is to play that bar. So if you take an A minor and you move it up 2 frets and use your index finger to bar, that's kind of your traditional B minor. Now I find that very difficult to hit when I'm going like from a D, G, back to the D. Now to get to a barred D minor, that's a fairly complex operation. So what I've done over the years is I've learned to use my thumb on the to hit that B note on string 5, fret 2. Now if you can't do that, because as I've tried to teach this to people, not everyone has the dexterity in their thumb to do that. So there's another version of a B minor that I teach where you use your index finger on string 5, fret 2, middle finger on string 3, fret 2, and ring finger on string 2, fret 3. So it gives you the same kind of a sound. It's more of a B minor 7th, but this is the one that I've laid out with this song as an easier way. So go from a G to a B minor this way is pretty much a lot easier than going to that barred B minor. Now another B minor, if you're familiar with a B7th chord, it's like a beginning level chord, and you pull the index finger off of your B7. That's a nice airy B minor as well. Another one is just if you're playing an A7th. So I've got my middle finger on string 4, fret 2, ring finger on string 2, fret 2. That's an A7th. If you move that up and play the internal 4 strings, not string 6, not string 1, that's a B minor as well. That's about the easiest B minor you're going to be able to find. And in the midst of a song, it sounds fine. Things together with trunks of memory still to come. Okay, so that version of a B minor sounds just fine in the context of this song. So that brings us back to, we were at the B minor at the beginning of line 2. With trunks of, then it goes to a G, memories, and then it goes to an A for 2 bars, still to come. And by 2 bars, I mean it's 2 iterations of boom, chukka, 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 boom, chukka, chukka, chukka. Then we go back to the D. We found, then to the D major 9, things to do, to the G, in stormy, back to the D, weather, back to the B minor, long A, may you, back to the D, run. So now we get to the chorus, and it's really just another verse until you get to the last line. But we'll just go through it. D, long may you run. G, long to D, you run. B minor, although these G changes to an A have come. Back to the D, with your chrome heart, D major 9, shine in G. In the D, sun, B minor, long A, may you run. Okay, now's where the easy stuff ends. Long may you run. Okay, now the whole cadence of the strum pattern changes. So long may you run. So on that D, we do a down, up, down, up. Long may you run, down, up, down, up. And then we go to a G, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So that's a lot to bite off right there. Let's just go through that again. So we'll go back to the B minor, the last line of the chorus. Long may you, D, down, up, G, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, D, up, down, up, G, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, D, up, down, up, G, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, D, up, down, up, G, up, down, up, down, up, down. So let's try that at 55. D, up, down, up, G, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, D, up, down, up, G, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, D, up, down, up, G, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, D, up, down, up, G. So that is a syncopated rhythm. And I looked up syncopation because I know we've all heard that term. So I had to look it up and see what the Webster's definition of it was. But it's a shift of accent in a passage or composition that occurs when a normally weak beat is stressed. It also is the point where when you're watching an artist like John Mayer, it's where he makes the guitar face. You know, that crazy pained face where someone's playing and then they make that awful John Mayer face. But anyway, this is a syncopated rhythm. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, now we get to the craziest chord that Paul Lilley has ever played, and that is the B flat sharp 11. Okay, so this is Neil Young at his finest. He's getting your ear used to something, and then he shocks you with this chord. So the way I play this chord is not for everybody, but it's kind of like if you play we're all familiar with these. Somebody's bleeding through. If you're familiar with how to play your basic bar chords, so you take an E shape and then just add a bar, move that all the way up the neck to the 6th fret. So you're barring on the 6th fret. That's your B flat. So what Neil does to this chord is he removes the fretting from the first string. Well, when you're playing that bar, if you remove the fretting from the first string, you automatically have to remove the fretting from the second string as well. So what you have to do is form some sort of a baby B flat chord. So one way to do it is to, if you remember how to play a baby F, a bar F, ring finger on string 4, fret 3, middle finger on string 3, fret 2, and then barring strings 1 and 2 on fret 1. Now if you go to an F major 7th, which is like an F, but now you're not barring, you're leaving that first string open. Okay? That's the Color My World chord, right? As time goes on, I realize. Anyway, so you take that and you move it up to where your ring finger is on string 4 on the 8th fret. So that is the essence of this B flat, B flat sharp 11. And then what I do is I add the bass note in with my thumb. So I'm basically playing every note of a barred B flat chord except for string 1. Okay, so that one takes a little bit to wrap your head around, but there is an easy way to play it, just by playing that F major 7th and moving it up, starting on the 8th fret. Okay, so getting back to the rhythm in that last line, so we were working on D, up, down, up, G, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then when you go up to this B flat, it's the same, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then it resolves to a D, down, up, down, D major 9th, back to the D. Okay, so now we pretty much know everything we need to know to play this song. So I'm going to turn to Paul and see if now is a good time to open it up to Q&A, or if Paul, if you have anything to add.
In the chat, if you want other looks at that B, we could certainly do that. I was going to show you one as well, because sometimes the bar chords are a little harder for us to do. And there, with all of these chords, when we're learning, I would hate you not to learn a great song because there's one chord that's giving you trouble. So what we teach our students is, if there's a chord giving you trouble, make that part of your practice routine. Like Mike said, get the reps in so that you could get them under your fingers, but there's always alternates, as Mike showed you with the B minor. There's a couple other alternates, and this is a shout out to Rich Haas, who in the community said, are we going to get help with that that B flat sharp 11, or B flat sharp 11, I think it was. So
Right.
there is another, so when you start looking at these alternate chords, you just got to be careful you're not strumming everything, because we're now making them easier, which means we're taking some fingers off. But another alternate for that chord is if you make an A7, so typically we have our A chord on the 2nd fret, but I'm going to take the G string and open that up. But I'm going to use, right now I'm going to use these 2 fingers. And if I just slide that up to the 3rd fret, so if you think of this as kind of an A7, and you slide everything up to the 3rd fret, you'd only be playing the D, G, B, and E strings. You wouldn't want to strum the E and A. That kind of gives you, that's in the B family, it gives you that airy sound. Or if you want to grab the B bass on the 1st fret, And so this, if you think about a B power chord here, your B power chord, except you're taking your pinky and moving it to the third fret of the B string. And what kind of gives that airy sound is you really want that high E string to sound out when you're strumming that chord. So there's two alternates, make an A7 and move it up, and then only strum from the D string down. Or kind of think of a B power chord and take your pinky and make sure it's fretting a D note, and then let that E string ring out. I was going to ask you, Mike. So a lot of times when I'm learning a song, I struggle with the strum pattern, and you kind of walked us through kind of the boom chuck. I loved how you use a metronome with that at different speeds. When you're playing that strum pattern, do you vocalize anything to help you get that under your fingers?
I don't know, vocalize. I don't think I do. I think it's more of a reptilian brain thing. It's just something you kind of feel. But it's very important, which is why I stress in my lessons, always share the strum pattern. I sometimes forget until late in the lesson, but to me, the rhythm is probably the most important part of what you do, because it is the place where we all meet. Everyone, if you're playing in a group, everyone's got to be playing in the same rhythm. Otherwise, it's not going to sound good. But I don't really vocalize anything.
So there are kind of tricks to help with that, because people come to rhythm kind of either by counting or by feel, and we really need both. And so it's helpful when I hear it vocalized. So this would be an example of like a down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. Now I'm not focusing on the bass first, but that first D would be that bass note. So bass, down, up, down, up. But it's kind of a 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And sometimes kind of vocalizing it helps me get it into my strumming hand quicker.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
really, when you think about it as eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, you're strumming on everything but the 1 and. So it's
and this,
basically a full
oh
strum.
yeah, the syncopation is leaving out the follow up to the first down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, wait, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah, there's those spaces in there and really funny spots that your ear isn't expecting. Question.
So let's do this, Mike. As you prepare to kind of play it for us, we could kind of steal the idea from iJam, if any of you have done the iJam, where your mics will stay muted and we could play along with Mike now that we know the strum pattern and the chords. But while he's doing that, if there's anything you want us to address after Mike finishes a song, anything around this song, learning the guitar, practice routines, strum patterns, if there's any questions you have, just go ahead and put them in the chat. And when Mike is done demoing and letting us play along with him on the song, we'll make sure we address those. Thanks.
Okay, so we're using our boom chukka 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 boom chukka 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 D. We've been through, well, I'm ahead of it. Things together. That's what's hard about the metronome. Keeps you honest with trunks of memories still to come. We found things to do in stormy weather. Long may you run. Long may you run. Long may you run. Although these changes have come. With your chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you run. Well, it was back in Line River in 1962 when I last saw you alive. But we missed that shift on the long decline. Long may you run. Long may you run. Long may you run. And though these changes have come, with your chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you run. Long may you run. Last verse. Maybe the Beach Boys have got you now, with those waves of singing Carolina rolling down that empty ocean road, getting to the surf on time. Okay, close it out now with the chorus. Long may you run. Long may you run. Although these changes have come, with your chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you run. Long may you run. Yay! That was really slow for me. I kept wanting to get way out ahead of that metronome, but good place to start though.
Tony said, great having you here today, Mike. The lessons are much easier with the extra explanations. You know, that's a great point. It is one thing that we get so like our YouTube lessons and we know how to Google YouTube and we could find lessons, but this whole back and forth or just being able to ask for clarification or have you demonstrated a couple different ways has just been very, very helpful.
Yeah, and thanks. And Tony's another one of my favorite people in the world that gives me feedback every week. So thanks, Tony.
Tony's a very active. If we had awards for commenters in CAVARTS, I would give Tony an award. I see him involved, whether he's liking stuff or commenting. That's great.
Yeah.
Paul says, thanks, Mike. It's been great. Love to hear about the picks and using a drum beat. Also, your practice routine. Would love a lesson or two on finger picking. You have a fantastic collection of acoustics. Tell us what you're playing now, Mike.
Most surprising guitar I've ever gotten. So I belong to something called, hey, there's Ed. I belong to something called the Acoustic Guitar Forum, acousticguitarforum.com, and it has a marketplace on it. And some gentleman, this is a Martin 00015M. It's the lowest entry level, made in Pennsylvania, all solid wood Martin you can get. And this guy bought it for his son for Christmas in mid-November. He gave it to his son, and his son said, Dad, I play classical guitar. And he was outside the return period. So he put it up for sale, and I jumped on it just because it was such a good price. But it is the most comfortable guitar. It's 000 size, so it's not as big as a Dreadnought. It's thinner. I don't know the exact measurements, less than 5 inches deep. But it's very, very comfortable. And then the fact that it's all mahogany means the top is really, really, it's hardwood, not softwood. So the notes that come out are very clear and precise, and there's not a lot of overtones. So when you're doing something like Well, like when I recorded Amy, that was all done on this guitar. So it's great for recording. It's great for Zoom like we had today because there's not a lot of boomy bass, not a lot of overtones. But anyway, Martin 00015M. They're $1,699 new. Well, you can get them for 80% of that on Reverb if you find the right seller. But it is the best guitar for the money I've ever owned in my life. Fantastic guitar.